It's time now to check your money with America's money maven, Vicki Brackens. Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. So, Vicki, there's some movement afoot.
Are you sure?
Well, yeah.
It seems like, George, that this conversation that we're about to have has been going on forever. In fact, I think, honestly, this conversation has been going on for over 10 years.
Wow.
But we finally got some movement, and I'm happy to say that we have finally got some movement over the last couple of weeks ago, and can cheer because the infrastructure bill was finally passed. Here's the reason I said for over 10 years. I recall, I'm just giving a little history here.
Okay.
I recall that I started to notice, I used to do a lot of driving in down to New York City and to Massachusetts, business issues, schooling, training, all those kinds of things. And there was a bridge that once you make the turn going into Massachusetts, that came right over the Adirondacks. When you go into the Adirondacks, it was a beautiful sky blue bridge that I used to love right there at Rensselaer. And it was my point of saying, okay, I'm almost home. And it was always pristine. And I started to notice rust spots on that bridge. And I'm going like, what in the world's going on? Is there something happening with this bridge? And then I went down to New York City, and the Tappan Zee Bridge looked like crap. And the George Washington Bridge looked like crap. All kinds of things were happening around us. And then we started to notice the roads and bridges and all those types of things were not in repair. And the conversation started about infrastructure, that we needed to step up and step in the game. And then we went through 2 administrations. And I think for one administration, the last one, in fact, almost every other week, we had a news conference about we're going to pass infrastructure, but we finally did it a couple of weeks ago to the tune of $1.2 trillion that has now been passed through the Biden administration's economic agenda for infrastructure, for doing things like money for transit and rail, and for broadband upgrade, and for upgrading, oh my God, the airports. How embarrassing the airports have become. You live in, I mean, New York City is your place. You know what LaGuardia looks like.
Wow.
Electrical vehicle.
Although they're supposed to be fixing that, right? But whatever.
Yeah, okay. They've been fixing that for more than 10 years.
Right.
For ports and waterways, and for electric vehicles, and in fact, even for the electric grid, because the grid is in such bad repair. Why should you care, George?
That was my question. How were you reading my mind?
I was, okay. Why should you care? So think of it like a body. Body has a lot of internal functions.
Yes.
When those internal functions start to decay or start to not or not managed, and we are not keeping up with our health, what starts to happen? Other parts of the body start to also try to overcompensate, but eventually will break down themselves. And what will finally happen is the entire system falls into disrepair, and we can't move things through our body. Same thing with the economy. The economy is a body. If we want functioning economies, we need infrastructure to move goods and services. And we say goods and services now because years ago, when we're talking about the New Deal was also looking at infrastructure. It was more hard type services. But now, because of the data needs and the needs for moving information, we also have to look at what's happening with our critical infrastructure around our data management and data systems. So for the economy to continue to function, which means the creation of jobs, and jobs that are going to not only sustain you, but improve your lives, because each generation, we talked about the 4th industrial revolution before, each generation of improvement in the economy is a more and more technological improvement. If we don't have the critical infrastructure to support those systems, what happens is everything breaks down and we start to lose productivity, and the loss of productivity will create the loss of jobs, and the loss of jobs creates poverty, and we're back in the same cycle. So I am thrilled to say, yes, we had movement, and yes, the infrastructure bill has been passed, but we also have other things that need to be on our legislative agenda. This is not a political commentary, but I would say this: go out and read all that you can about the infrastructure bill and any other legislation that may impact your economic wealth and your economic health going forward. Questions, George? Well, George, you're on mute. I can't read your lips, love.
Well, that is like probably going to be the theme for the rest of our lives. You're on mute. But
yes,
as I think about what you just said about jobs, and it depends on how that infrastructure trickles down to the communities. Let's talk about Syracuse, New York, right? How does it trickle down? And then how do communities who are in most need of those jobs get those jobs? Are they ready? So that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay. All right. So in this case, I wouldn't say, I'm just going to kind of tweak the comment. It's not infrastructure trickling down, because when a road is built and everybody uses it.
Right.
But what skills do I need to participate in the jobs that are creating the
That's what I'm
infrastructure?
talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I would tell you, first thing, one of the best places to go right now would be to OCC. Okay, Dr. Crable and all of the staff and academic staff and technical staff out at OCC has been preparing for a while in upgraded skill building and programs available for you to increase your skills to take advantage of all of the economic activity and economic changes and opportunities that are coming through the increase in infrastructure and the rebuilding of what I would call the infrastructure of America, particularly around the broadband areas. So I pick up the phone, I call OCC right away, because that would be a great step for you to start with, to find out what types of programs are available. There are also going to be, I am sure, tons of community engagement and information sessions that will start to take place, particularly around the areas of the rebuilding of roads and bridges, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so that you can find out what apprenticeships programs are taking place. So go over to see Tim Penix at EEOC, because he is also, and they have
Syracuse
also
EOC.
been very.
Syracuse EOC, not the EEOC.
That's true. I forgot that. I put too many E's in there.
Yeah.
EOC.
If they're going to the EEOC, they're going for another issue and some other problems.
That's true. That's true. Too many E's in there. Okay. But go over to see Tim Penix. They're on New Street.
100 New Street.
Okay. To make sure that you're involved with and understanding those programs. Those are two critical areas of information that you should access.
Yeah, and just to reiterate on the EOC, they have a lot of job readiness stuff. They have a lot of training, and there are a lot of ways for people who are coming out of various situations to restart and reboot. So I would really give them a call. In fact, I got a number, 315-472-0130. Great.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad you know the number. And then
they're a great partner of ours. So I got it.
That's true. That's true. And the third area, okay, as far as information and getting involved, I would say is to reach out to Center State CEO. Center State CEO, which is one of the major economic drivers or involved with economic improvement here in the area, has, through their Chase Foundation grant, been working very heavily on job training skills and developing areas for improvement as far as opportunities. So I'd reach out to the Center State CEO. In fact, call Dominic Robinson over at Center State CEO. Between those three areas, you should be able to get started. You know what? I am not great with memorizing numbers.
I got a number, 315-422-8284.
Wonderful, George. I love this, what partnership's all about. Okay. All right. So at this point in time, again, infrastructure. There are several different types, and I want you to read all about them, but the basic physical infrastructure systems are basically the things that move goods and services throughout our economy to develop prosperity for the entire country. George, at this point in time, I'll say, please reach out to us if you have additional questions. 315-930-4499 or at info@Brackens, BRACKENS FSN.com. You can also reach us on LinkedIn. You can share us, okay, there on Facebook, and be sure and go into our YouTube channel, share, subscribe, and like Brackens Financial Solutions Network on YouTube.
And before you fill
George,
that
I'll
plate up,
say,
yeah, don't say
uh-huh.
it. Don't say it yet.
Okay.
I want you to tell us. And there's another. You also moved recently.
Oh, yes, we did. We have a new location. Thank you, George. We have a new location, which is now 250 South Clinton Avenue. That's 250 South Clinton, suite number 110.
Yeah.
And we're really thrilled to be there in that new location, right
on the first floor.
downtown.
Yeah,
right on the first floor.
And it's a beautiful building, 250 South Clinton Street, Suite 110, right on the first floor.
110, exactly.
How about that? See?
Thank you, George.
All right.
You really keep up with me. So now I will say our plate is full.
Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. She is America's money maven.